Hey y'all, it's Sarah. Thank you so much for joining me because we have to talk about what's going on with the Resident Evil live action movies. Today we're just going to talk about Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, but I have seen all of the live action versions of Resident Evil, and I've seen the Netflix limited series. Resident Evil, consistently the people are interested, the characters, the stories, the zombies. So I haven't played the game in years, so I'm not sure how well this is adapted to the game, but as a person who just watches a lot of horror movies and has seen all of the other Resident Evil movies, this was a mess. A bloody, pulpy, gory, explosion-filled mess. Let me start over because you may not be familiar with the Resident Evil franchise. Resident Evil is about different circumstances before and during a zombie apocalypse. Different perspectives, and in this version, the movie is set in the 90s, and our main characters are Claire and Chris Redfield. Chris and Claire Redfield are orphans of Raccoon City. Raccoon City was built by the Umbrella Corporation. On the surface is a pharmaceutical company that also has military contracts and does research in the genetics and viral area of study. One night, Claire manages to escape as a child from the city, and Chris is left behind. Many years later, she decides to return to the city, is kind of hitchhiking her way back when there is an accident on the road and the truck that she's riding in hits someone who mysteriously disappears from the road. The driver takes her into town. This is a different version of Raccoon City than is in the movies. In this version, Raccoon City is like a slum. Everyone is very poor, everyone is struggling, and there's a lot of illness. There's a kind of vague attempt to reassure the public by keeping a police force. She is reunited with her brother. Everybody's all grown up now. Over the course of the night, zombies, or an early version of zombies, sort of break out and start attacking everyone. So it's up to Claire and a small group of survivors to make it out of the city. So we have the police chief, we've got some police officers, STARS members, which in previous movies, see, it's difficult to say what they're keeping and what they've let go of in this version because STARS were supposed to be specially trained, tactical, like SWAT. Here I was not very impressed. Claire is there because she's been communicating with a scientist who's been studying the effects of these different illnesses and what could possibly be the source of the problem in the city, and she hadn't heard from him in a while and decides to go back into the city, contact her brother, and find out where this person is. While she's there, she finds out that he's been arrested, and soon afterwards he gets got. So the STARS members are called away to a creepy old mansion, and at the same time Claire is in a police station, and they managed to get to the orphanage. And from the orphanage, they managed to escape into a series of underground tunnels that lead to the creepy old mansion, and from there they managed to get out and escape. This very much read like someone who wanted to make something close to what a video game version would be. You know, one group starting out at the creepy mansion, working their way through, getting attacked. A small band manages to make it through most of the mansion and into the underground tunnels. Then you have the other small group which starts out in the police station, getting into the police station. They get attacked, managing to make their way out and going into the orphanage. They get attacked again, going through the orphanage into the creepy tunnels underneath the orphanage. Everybody finds creepy bits of information along the way, finding a projector with film on it that plays experiments on these creepy twins that used to be the son and daughter of a scientist that used to work there. The connections that they were trying to make were way too vague between events, people, and places They were not explained enough because they were too busy grossing people out with the zombies and the violence and the gore and the yuck. So you basically just hang on until the end of the movie to see what happens. And you have a scientist and his family not making it out except for the little girl randomly, which I guess was supposed to be an emotional thing, but it just didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense for the head scientist on this site and his family to not make it out of the situation. Sort of mixing up who's the villain and who's the who the protagonists are, with Jill Valentine's character and Albert Wesker's character. They kind of like flipped the script on certain things, which I was like, okay, that's a thing we all decided to do. I know that her overall goal is to expose the Umbrella Corporation for their evil deeds and whatnot, but she's supposed to be very clever. That is her thing, is to be clever. Being able to pick locks, knowing how to ride a motorcycle, shoot a gun, things that in the 1990s were quite unexpected, despite the fact that Jill Valentine can also do these things. Or they tried to create a blanket detail that would cover any questions that you might have. For example, when the scientist says that it's something in the water that's making everybody sick, and that the STARS members or members of the police force are not affected because they get antibiotics or shots every year that they say are antibiotics, and that's why whatever's in the water is not affecting them. And I'm like, this is a whole city you're talking about, and the only people that haven't been getting sick or are not affected are members of the STARS organization and the police force, not the lunch ladies, not the doctors, not the postal workers. It's very limited. We see parts of the city, but we don't see how big it is. We don't see how developed it is. We just see that it's very run down. We're not quite sure what the main industry is, other than this is a site that was created and developed by the Umbrella Corporation to do whatever it is that Umbrella does in this version. Basically, the movie is an iteration of what the other movies are like, which is a small group of survivors trying to get through the night and to a place of safety. People dying because of dumb was annoying to me. Like that scientist, there are degrees of self-awareness when you're in a zombie movie, because you know there are zombies and you know you're constantly in danger. So when people's self-awareness goes down to like 0 and they forget that there are zombies and they're constantly in danger is when I start to get annoyed. When that scientist was in that cell with that guy with the stuff coming out of his face, and he knew that he needed to get out of there because he was in danger, grabbed the cop's gun, threatened him with it to let him out. Somehow finding the keys took 10 hours and he still ended up getting out anyway. Him forgetting that he was there, forgetting to keep an eye on him. I was like, here we go. Are we blaming it on the 90s when this is supposed to be set? But all in all, I would give this movie, I would give it a 1 out of 5. I wouldn't recommend it. There are plenty of other Resident Evil TV shows or movies to watch that are much more entertaining and feel much more engaging. If you can't handle splashy gore like eyeball popping, people on fire kind of things, then I would just avoid it. Also, Leon's character got on my freaking nerves with his hair and whatnot. Him falling asleep, not seeing the man on fire because he had his headphones on. Do you know how oblivious you got to be in order to not see a man on fire walking in through the front door? That was so bizarre, totally unbelievable. Because if he was on drugs, for example, and just couldn't get himself together. That's one thing. But he just appears to be sleepy, and that's his excuse. I couldn't take it. I was like, look, you gonna get it. There's no way you're making it out of this situation. That would be totally bizarre. I was very disappointed. I was. Since this is supposed to be in the 90s, I wanted to see more examples of the types of experiments that they were running on animals. Because in the first movie in like the early 2000s, they had these huge like metal compartment things. They look kind of like trailers. And that's where they show them experimenting on bunny rabbits. That's an iconic design, I think, is what the rabbits look like when they're infected with the virus. That's such a unique design. And they've been trying to get back to that by making these Silent Hill, creepy, nails in the forehead kind of monster zombie things. And it's just not working. Just go back to basics with the design. You know, always got that rabid dog foaming at the mouth, because he is the champion in consistent detail throughout all of the movies, is a dog that's infected, that's like foaming at the mouth, and somebody gets got by that dog. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you all next time.